I think the cool thing about shrimp toast, another dish that is in so many different Asian cultures and done so many different ways. You know, this is just kind of our riff on it, so we like to have fun. Hi, I'm Nick Bognar. I'm from St. Louis, Missouri. We have 2 restaurants, Indo and Sado, and today we're gonna make shrimp toast. First up, we're gonna just blanch some cellophane noodles, which is kind of like the binder for the filling or the spread that we put on top of the toast. These are bean thread noodles. Those are like cellophane noodles. They're made from soybeans, super light. Shrimp toast for me originates differently from like the actual like origins of shrimp toast. So it's like, I feel like it goes back to a lot of like Chinese immigrants and kind of this like Americanized dish. But I always think back to my uncle's Thai restaurant. My uncle back in like the 90s was one of the first people to open up a Thai restaurant in St. Louis. And shrimp toast was like one of the things that they were like known for, and I don't think anybody was really making it. The bean thread noodles, they're gonna cook super duper quick. And you can already see they've only been in there for like maybe 45 seconds and they're already good. I'm just gonna throw these in an ice water bath just to cool them down really fast. And that's so they don't overcook or anything. And then I can just kind of pull them out of there and start to make this filling. So I have some shrimps that are basically peeled, deveined, no tails. A little bit of scallion or green onions. And I'm just gonna kind of rough chop these because they're gonna go in with the filling anyway. And I'll do the same thing with the garlic that goes in the filling too, just like a little rough chop. Just kind of dump my shrimps in there. And I'll put this all in at the same time. The first time I had shrimp toast, really early memories as a kid, just like this fried, and then we always put this kind of like sweet and sour sauce on top and like a little cucumber salad, but it was like super rudimentary cucumber salad. Fun and delicious, you know, crunchy. And I really fell in love with it. So I'm gonna kind of just pulse this a little bit. And then you wanna grind the shrimp down, but you don't want like a full mousse. Almost like a really fine like hamburger patty kind of thing. The filling will kind of start to stick to itself a little bit, and that's what you want. So it's a little spreadable. I also like to have just a little bit of chunkiness in there too, so that's cool. I'll just set this aside real quick. And then what I like to do, take these bean thread noodles, and I'm just gonna give them like a little rough chop too. And I almost think of this as like kind of like the breadcrumb or something. Like it just kind of brings all the shrimp together. And if it's kind of sticking to itself, that means you probably ground it up nicely. If it's really loose at this point, you might want to pulse it a few more times. So it almost forms like a patty in a way, which is essentially what we're doing. Just a little bit of salt, one of the #1 kind of Thai seasonings, fish sauce. And then this is just some plain white sugar, just a couple grounds of fresh black pepper. And we just want to get the noodles all the way mixed into this mixture of sorts, and you'll feel it start to seize up a little bit just because of that combination of everything. And then when this looks nice and smooth and kind of spreadable like this, you're looking good. I'm gonna actually kind of spread this on the toast now. It's kind of nice for the filling and the toast to be together for a while in the fridge, and then it'll stay together better when you fry it. So I'm gonna take off a little bit off the edge, and then I'm just gonna try to get these nice, even 1/4-inch slices. So I try to get a nice healthy kind of like dollop on each piece. I just kind of work my way from the center, almost like I'm icing a cake or something, and just try to get it as evenly edge to edge as I can. The prettier you can get the edges, you know, probably the nicer it's gonna look. And don't be afraid to go a little past the edge too. So yeah, you can make these ahead of time, at least like 1 day ahead of time if you want to do that. And you can have them spread on the toast like a day ahead. You don't want to do it much longer than that. And it also, you just want to make sure you have like good fresh shrimp if you're going to be waiting to cook this, because if the shrimp is already kind of getting old, you're not going to want to let this sit like this either. All right, let's put them in the fridge. All right, so now we're gonna make just this really simple mango sweet chili. The way we always used to do it at the old school Thai restaurant, it always came with like a sweet and sour, and we just thought it would be fun to kind of get that same sweet, spicy kind of flavor. So now I'll just take a chunk off to get it past that pit. Same thing on this side. Try not to get into it. So simply, like, I'm gonna just kind of put this into the blender. This is the chili garlic sauce, the sambulan. We try to soften it up with some sugar So this is just white sugar. And depending on how sweet your mangoes are, you can kind of check this out. And you're just trying to bring the balance to it by, we don't want it to be like so overly spicy. Start slow. Gradually turn it up. Whoops. And I kind of like the smoothness of the sauce. It kind of helps with the plating a little bit. So we want it to be kind of almost all the way smooth. That should be good. This is good on almost anything too, by the way. So now we're gonna make the piperade for the, kind of like another garnish that we like to put on here. I'm gonna take some palm sugar and almost make like a little syrup with it. And that's kind of to season the piperade, which is different from if you have like a piperade, like an Italian piperade or a Mediterranean piperade. And essentially it's just kind of like a little cooked down bell peppered condiment. But we like to do ours with a little palm sugar. So a little water in with that palm sugar, and then that'll kind of dissolve into a nice little syrup. We're gonna try to show off our knife skills a little bit with the peppers. I mean, I've always been in restaurants my whole life. Like, I worked in my mom's restaurant since I was a kid, and I was like super apathetic about it. My mom's restaurant opened 21 years ago, and I started as a dishwasher. And then from there, learned to start like cooking on the line. And she had a Japanese restaurant, so I started doing like tempura, and then, you know, cooking kind of like all the typical old school Japanese restaurant dishes. My whole family's been kind of involved with hospitality industry for a long, long time. And I'm lucky to kind of have that to build off of for my job too. And if I can just do a little micro kind of thing with the garlic as well. And then I'm gonna kind of get it going on this pan here. And we're just gonna kind of soften it all together. So this is olive oil, just enough to coat the bottom of the pan. And we just wanna soften up all these flavors. For this one, I don't want to see too much color on the garlic. So as soon as it starts to get any kind of color, I'm just going to go right in with the peppers, season that, just pinch of salt, and just let it kind of soften up and combine. It's going to release a little bit of liquid, which is nice. And then I'm just going to finish it with some of that palm syrup that I made, maybe like 1 tablespoon's worth. And then just let this cook out until it gets a little thicker. And I just don't want to see it be too liquidy. But that liquid with the bell peppers and the garlic and everything is like pretty good juice. And we can set this one aside too and just get ready to garnish, and it's totally good cold too. Okay, now we're gonna make kind of the fresh garnish that we like to put on top of the shrimp toast. So it's really just like a nice kind of light cucumber salad. So what I'm gonna do first is I'm gonna kind of ribbon these cucumbers, and I like to have the peel. And then when it starts to get down to the seeds, I'll just turn it over. So it's important that they're nice and thin, and you should be able to kind of see through them like that. And that way I can kind of take them and they should curl up really easily. I'm just gonna slice some onion. So this is Thai basil, and we're gonna just kind of make a little herb salad. So for this kind of basic herb salad, which we put on a lot of stuff, we're gonna do some Thai basil, some mint, and then of course cilantro. So to finish up the cucumber salad, basically I want to have most of my stuff ready at this point. I don't want the cucumber salad to sit too long, but just a little bit of seasoning, just some salt, some olive oil, just a crack of pepper. And I'll just give this a little toss. So now that all my condiments and garnishes and sauces are all ready to go, now we're gonna just fry the shrimp toast and plate. I really recommend you taking the toast and inverting it at this point so that the filling's going down. And then we're just gonna lay it in the oil nice and slow. Don't skirt yourself. And then just take your spider and just kind of keep it under there a little bit. Honestly, I think I have enough room for 2. That's cool. So we're gonna look for a nice golden brown. The temperature of the oil is around like 350. And we just wanna get it nice and crunchy, and then make sure that the shrimp toast is cooked through. I wonder if you could fry shrimp toast in an air fryer. I wouldn't know. Let us know in the comments. So this one's looking really good. I'm gonna give it a little flip. Yeah, that turned out nice. You know, so that's looking good. I'm gonna let that hang out. We definitely wanna let this rest for at least like 3 minutes or so, and that's at the least, just to make sure that all the carryover cooking is gonna get that cooked through. All right, let's get ready to plate it. And just 1 cut down the middle, and then thirds, so 1, 2. And this is a good time to just make sure you're cooked through. So that should look really good like that. So at this point, I like to kind of, almost like a sushi roll or something, kind of like catty corner them. I don't know what you would call that, shingle them. And then you can kind of play around with the plating on this, but I usually do sauce first. And then make sure you get a little bit of these red onions going too. And then one little dot of that piperade for each piece of toast. I think that's finished. Crispy shrimp toast. Yeah, all right. The bread worked really nicely. So it's not like greasy and it's crunchy. It's great when the filling is like juicy still, and then those like cellophane noodles kind of keep it from getting too dry. Spicy, sweet, fresh. Who doesn't love something fried? For the recipe, click below. Come visit us in St. Louis. Come check out Indo, come check out Sado. I'm Nick, come say hi. You'll probably see me working.